So I'm actually so excited. I get asked about sourcing tools all the time because, first of all, AI is changing so fast. AI is impacting recruiting. And with that, we're also hosting the AI Recruiting Summit in September. And this company is actually going to be one of the featured speakers on day one. So I want to introduce Jake from Pin, who's going to show me and you a walkthrough of how the platform works. So that way you can see it for yourself. So Jake, excited to have you here, buddy.
Yeah, excited to be here. Sad that I'm not going to be speaking at the recruiting summit, but Connor is a better speaker than me, I will say. So I'm gonna get credit where credit is due. But yeah, I'm really excited to kind of show Pin, sort of tell the Pin story, and just kind of let y'all into our world a little bit. So just a little bit of background. I'm the head of customer success here. I actually was the head of customer success at a previous company called Interstellar. Um, and you might notice that if you go to a bunch of our LinkedIn profiles, all of us used to work at Interstellar because that actually is sort of like the precursor to Pin. Really, we built that tool to sit on top of LinkedIn, grab information off of that, put it into your ATS, and then send emails on your behalf. That tool was great at what it did. We ended up selling it to Greenhouse, worked at Greenhouse for a while, and then all slowly left on our own accord. I was actually the last holdout. And Connor had to convince me to leave. He was like, "Look, we're building it again. We're doing it again." Like, okay, great. And so what we did was we went back to the same VC. We said, "Hey, we think we can solve the problem more deeply." And so what we did was we asked them for a ton of money for data sources, built our own data layer that basically is scraping information from LinkedIn, GitHub, Crunchbase, Monster, you name it. We combined all the different data sources that we purchased into like these giant Frankenstein profiles, and then we layered our own LLMs on top of that, basically saying we can search through all of that. Give us a job description, tell us what you're looking for, and we'll find those people for you. And we took that technology and then layered it on top of the Interstellar technology, added some cool bells and whistles, which I can show you, to give you sort of like ideally, the Monster King sourcing tool that gets you to the first point of contact with candidates, clients, whatever you want.
That's awesome. I mean, let me just say one thing that kind of blew me away is I did it. I've done a few searches myself, and Jake's going to walk through how to actually, for me to actually use the platform better. I just shortcutted everything and used the AI sequence maker. I was like, hey, I'm doing like in between podcast episodes. Let me just find XYZ person. I got a message from a candidate that said, I've never had a recruiter do this much research before sending me a message. I was like, and of course, I showed that on LinkedIn, and I ended up getting about 1,000 comments, which was kind of crazy. But I was just like, okay, the thing about artificial intelligence is there are now so many different data points when it comes to every individual. So like, every time I get a message and if somebody's like highlights an episode of a podcast that I was on or I hosted, and actually I'm sure they're using AI to pull some information out of it. It just initially to me is like, oh my God, you've done more research than the 50,000 other generic messages that I've got. And that's one of the benefits of using AI. So Jake, let's just jump in and let's play around.
Yeah, and I remember looking in your account and I was like, man, you didn't change our AI language at all, which which is pretty cool. But all right, so I'm logged in as you, Ben. So I'm gonna basically do this walkthrough as if I was you.
Okay.
And I'm sort of logged in right now, just like on a random search, but I'm gonna build a search from scratch. Just for the uninitiated, this is what the inside of Pin looks like. You're almost always going to just be defaulted to some search that you've been doing. The way that the system is designed is to work from the top down on the left side. You build your jobs right here. That's our primary object. And you manage all your jobs right here. So you can see, all the different companies that you're hiring on behalf of. If you have multiple team members here, they'll populate here. You can just filter down to yours. Since I'm logged in as you, your team members are you. So this is
Now, now that we took a like from our month and a half break, my wife is going to be jumping in probably next week. So there'll be a team of two.
yeah. And so this menu, these options at the top will be a little bit more useful for you. Uh, but once you're in a search, everything below here is basically specific to the job that you're working for. So this sourcing page is, remember I was talking about those Frankenstein profiles, that giant data layer? Yeah, this is basically a custom LinkedIn page that we made for each one of your jobs using that data layer. and the information you've given us. Candidate section is where you put all candidates that you're happy and interested with. And then the outreach section is where you create all of your different outreach, campaigns. So it's, email, LinkedIn. If you want to do some more manual stuff like texting and phone calls, you can do that in there as well. And then we have some cool stuff down here. I don't know if we're gonna have time to touch on the automations, but there's some cool stuff in there that you can both do really cool things with and potentially hurt yourself with. I say that. I say
I want to know like what the cool thing is, and I also want to know like what do I need to do to hurt myself.
Yeah, no. If you were to turn on all the automations, you'd be like, wow, so much of my life is automated. I don't know if that's a good thing.
It sounds good.
But we give everybody the choice. And I'll touch on that at the end.
Oh, and make sure we also cover like using Pin for business development. I get
Yeah,
asked about that a lot.
yeah, for sure. It's actually like it's very similar, but I'll touch on that after we do the kind of candidate stuff. Uh, all right, cool. So let's start by creating a job. And you send me this big document that has like a bunch of job descriptions, some people that are good examples of it. So I'm just gonna start, and you can see here, I just have this like big thing here. I'm just gonna start with this Google Cloud Platform architect job that you sent me, and I'm just gonna copy and paste the entire thing. Just gonna come down here. So this is a really long one. So I'm going to copy this, and you see these are the profiles that you said these are good. And just for the sake of argument, I'm also going to say that we're hiring on behalf of, and I'm just choosing Toptal because that is the company that the first person that you sent me works for.
Okay.
Uh, and the reason why that is important, saying who you're hiring on behalf of, is because when you create a company object instead of pin, it's actually already telling the AI, I understand the industry you're looking in. I understand generally the types of people you're looking for. I even will load in the competitors of the company that you put in here for you directly into the account. So I have like a standard base point for, what I want to be searching for.
Okay.
And then here, it's Google Cloud architect, something like that.
AI
Yeah.
architect.
Yeah, AI architect. Okay. And then you'll see here we did build a little bit of guardrails. So this is basically a word parser. And so it is sort of like garbage in, garbage out, right? If you don't tell us what you're looking for, we aren't going to show you the people that you want to see. If you're very descriptive and you tell us who you're looking for, we will show you. And there isn't really a limit to how much you can put in here. So if you're like, okay, cool, I have this job description that has some of it. I have intake notes. I have a CV of somebody I like. Just kind of just dump all of that in here, and it'll turn it into our search parameters. So I'm going to hit create job position here. And what that's going to do is basically do exactly that, right? It takes all the stuff out of that job description, turns it into our search criteria, and then it's going to show you a bunch of people that we think are good fits.
Okay.
And so this page, formerly, I'm sure you remember from the early days of Pin, this used to take like 30 seconds, and then every time you adjusted it, it takes 30 seconds. Luckily, we figured out how to fix that by getting rid of a lot of the Gen 1 AI code. So it is now, and it's something that's worth noting is that like, we're constantly updating this stuff. Last time I checked in with the engineering team, I was told that we have 18 different code bases just for search. Because we want to implement the best of all the different AI stuff, right? So we have, a little bit of Gemini 2.5, a little bit of OpenAI 4.1, and a bit of Claude 4, and as new technology comes out, we build different kind of we build either a new code base or we adjust our existing code base to implement whatever is new. And that is sort of one of the kind of cool things is that you just have an engineering team that's like so on top of it that if you're someone like me, you just be like, yeah, we're on it. That new thing came out, we already know about it, and we put it in the system.
I think everybody's waiting for was
Yeah.
it 5.0?
Yeah, exactly. And so you see here, I just refreshed it to get to get it to hurry up a little bit. Sometimes just refreshing it just like gives it the kick in the pants you need. So what it did is it shows you, we have 23,000 people that fit the baseline stuff that I put inside of here. And I didn't even really read the job description. I just like, yeah, this will figure it out. And what it says is like, here's some general job titles. Here's the skills and tools.
Vertex, agent space.
Yep. And yeah, exactly. Like stuff that you said that you're looking for inside of the job description somewhere.
Yep.
And then I think there's probably somewhere inside of the job description where it's like, ideally, one of these companies. And so it just took that and turned it into the company filter, add industry. Um, and I want to talk about this page because I think this is one of the fundamental differences from the way that LinkedIn works. And I think that there is a little bit of a learning curve coming from LinkedIn Boolean search, Elasticsearch that's been, built in the early 2010s or sometimes maybe even earlier than that, right? To AI search is that, you know, LinkedIn Boolean search is designed such that you start with like a job title and then a location. And then, you add this like long Boolean string. And every time you add to that string, it decreases the amount of candidates that it shows you, right? It like necessarily that's how you kind of go. And what we do is it's actually more of a neural net. And so the more stuff you feed us as skills and tools, as industries and companies, like different stuff that you give us, the more people we show you because it's basically adding just like another node by which the system can say like, oh, cool, you want this skill? Here's this is a pocket of people that have that skill that it wasn't including before. And then when you want to decrease the amount of people, because naturally you don't want to go from 23,000 to a million candidates, right? That's not going to help you, right? Or maybe it will, but then eventually you want to cut down. You just say like, okay, cool, I want to make some of the stuff required. And you'll notice they have these blue pins here. This is basically saying take away the AI's ability to make like serious inferences and guess at maybe this person has this thing and say like, okay, like be pretty sure that this person has large language models, for example. You just hit required and then it'll bring everything down. So no, I was just like monologuing a lot. Does that all make sense?
No, it makes sense.
All right, sweet. So I'm not going to rerun the search because I want to show you the kind of the output here. So output here is essentially, we found you 23,000 people and, we have an AI summary at the top, which is sort of like us doing research for you on the candidate. So you don't have to click in the profile and be like, I don't know if this person has this stuff, right? And basically just say like, okay, you're looking for experience with Google Cloud Platform, Vertex AI, large language models. All this stuff is written somewhere on this person's profile. And what's really cool is that not only are we looking at the person's profile in the way that LinkedIn does, kind of a like keyword search, we're also looking at like inference making stuff. So we can say like, oh, Shubham works at PwC Canada as a Gen AI architect. We can actually go to PwC's website, look at the job description for Gen AI architects, and say, oh, you know what? We actually know the like languages that Shubham's working with because those are the languages that the job description in the job that he's currently working say that they require.
Huh.
And so this
At
stuff
this
is
point, like how many JDs have you guys found?
how many JDs have we found? I couldn't tell you because like every time somebody goes in here, every time somebody appears in here and we have to do this, we're going to the websites of all the companies that they work at and saying
Huh.
like, what do we think this person did? And
Wow.
and we recruiters always talk about like looking inside the gray space for people who are hard to find that might have skills that aren't 100% noted on their profiles, right?
Oh, because
And,
most people's profiles are never built out.
well, wait, exactly. And you want to basically say like I want to be able to find some people who are like diamonds in the rough that the TA team that I'm working on behalf of are really struggling to find. Right. And this gives you that kind of forensic lens to say, like, yeah, like I think I did find one of these diamonds in the rough. And this does work both ways. And this is sort of why I was saying, it takes a little bit of learning, like time to learn this stuff because it's inference making. Right. So sometimes it'll say, like, oh, I made this assumption. It's like kind of wild and out there. And you're like, wow, that's weird. That's like wild and out there. But if you look at the summary up top here, there's almost always a good reason for why the system is like, oh, this person's not exactly what you're looking for, but maybe. And those are the not exactly what you're looking for, but maybe those are the people that are hard to find. Those are the diamonds in the rough that are just not going to appear in your LinkedIn search.
Okay. So I will just say like I like this person. This person's awesome.
Yeah.
Like I see like an outreach, I see a short list. I don't want to hit the decline for him. Like, so what do you do next for someone that I
Yeah.
want?
So this is basically like Tinder, right? We show you 50 people at a time. It's going to learn from the way that you interact. If you like somebody, you hit add to outreach. You don't like them, you decline, and ideally you tell us why. If you really like something on this person's profile, if like say PwC Canada is a company you want to source more from, you actually just click on it. You'll see an AI summary of what they do. Say, show me more people from here. Like I want to see more people that look like Shubham. And then if you see that like Shubham is actually great fit for a different job that you're running and maybe not for the job that you like that you're working on right now, you can actually click here, move to another job, and add to the outreach for something else. You notice that this has this little arrow here, and this outreach button doesn't actually yet have this the downward button.
Okay.
The reason for that is because we haven't yet set up outreach. So
Okay.
let's set up outreach, and then I'll show you what to do when you like Shubham. So we go to outreach. This is basically the like this is the car, right? So if you're thinking of like the sourcing area as like the fuel, we have to build the engine by which we're going to, start our sourcing process.
Okay.
So in here, you have a few options. You can always write things manually. You can copy if you're like, okay, I wrote this great set of email templates and I want to copy them over. You can always copy from anything else that you have in here.
Yeah.
But what you did is you just said, actually, write my emails for me. I don't want to do any of this. And you'll notice you have the email option. You do have to connect your LinkedIn if you want to do automated connection requests and in-mails, but that is something you can do as part of your flow.
Yeah.
You hit create sequence, and it's just going to generate some AI language. And what you'll notice is this language is kind of generic, and actually something that we're working on right now is making it so that because we have all the job description information, making it so the language actually does a little bit better and like bringing in some salient information for the job description and
Okay.
putting not just in this first email, but putting a little bit of extra love into the follow-up emails. So the new version of AI that's going to come out, basically after I feed a bunch of email templates that I've written, into the system are going to look a lot more like my recommendations that I give to customers. So it's
Okay.
going to be a little bit of AI and a little bit of me.
Well, maybe they should also just email you for your favorite templates too.
Yeah, I mean, so I actually did have this one customer who was like really struggling, and they were like, I think we need to cancel. I'm like, you can, but let me try something. And what I did was I rewrote all their email templates, and then I turned on automatic outreach, which is one of these automations that can hurt you, right? Deciding how much of your life you want to be automated. And what it does is I just set it to take the top 20 people out of the sourcing page every day and put it into the engine that I built. And I came back to them a couple weeks later, and I was like, "What do you think?" They're like, "A lot of people got back to us." I was like, "Yeah." So
So real quick, okay, like everybody right now is looking at this like this generalized line, but there's like right above that is the AI personalized sentence. What the hell is that?
yeah, so this is basically why that person came back to you and like recruiters never do their research. I can't believe you know this about me. What this is basically a custom AI sentence generator. Um, and if you feed it no instructions, it'll just take the context of whatever you have in here and it'll look inside of somebody's profile and it'll just say what it thinks it should say here. But you can actually feed it instructions. So you can get, like Connor really likes to say like, talk like Batman, and tell me I'm pretty, right? But like, uh, we can do like a more real example. You can say like, use warm, friendly tone to reference the candidate's previous experience, use building AI tools, and say why it makes them a good fit for this role. Right? If we do something basic like that and we hit this preview button, what it's going to do is it's going to take the profile of somebody from that sourcing page that I showed you before and say, if you were to add that person into the system, this is what I would say for that person. And it'll generate a custom message for every single person. You can see here, this is looking at Shubham, right? He worked at PwC Canada and Data Medica.
Done XYZ that's needed for that Google job, the
Yeah.
GCP AI job. Yeah.
And
Cool.
yeah, it took out a bunch of stuff that he's done and said, okay, cool, I like this. If you don't like it, you say, make it shorter and make it shorter and let's make it meaner. And just see what it says. And then it's gonna be a little bit more direct. The language will probably be, one sentence long. That wasn't as mean as I wanted it to be. But
I mean, it is an outreach engine. I'm sure it was like, yeah, maybe mean won't give me a response. I mean, it might elicit a response, but not a positive one.
yeah, exactly. If we were to
Email
if
flagged.
if we were to yeah, if we were to put some, well, if we were to put some more stuff around here that like kind of gives us the intonation that you're willing to be a little bit more mean, it'll say like, "Aren't you tired of working at that terrible place, PwC? Right? Wouldn't you rather work here?"
All the things that PwC has done bad over the years. Let me hype that. Like, let me be
Yeah,
involved with a company like that. You want a real mission that's helping blah, blah, blah get ahead.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, believe it or not, we did not optimize the AI engine to like to to badmouth other companies.
I mean, that's
Uh,
smart. You don't want to be on going viral on LinkedIn for that.
no, definitely not. I don't know. Any press is good press, right? Um, but yeah, so this is sort of like, if this is the basic engine here. If you wanted to add any additional steps, you wanted to add automated emails, you wanted to add connection requests, text messages, stuff like that, you can down here. If you need to delete anything, you just hit the little trash can icon. If you want to change the number of days, you just edit the day stuff here. If you wanted to manually audit everything, you can change it instead of automatic send manually from queue. So you have a lot of optionality here. Um,
Okay. So real quick, go back to the sourcing side of it.
yeah, let's
So
do that.
let's pretend I work at a defense contractor and the IT companies are afraid to connect my email account to anything. Everything wants to stay in the little wonderful bubble of our defense contractor. Is
Yeah.
there a way that I can like, you know, use this amazing sourcing tool, but maybe just like send the email myself manually?
Yeah, I mean, so if they don't let you hook up the email to PIN, and we occasionally will run into this, it's worth noting that we're SOC 2 compliant. We work with government contractors. We work with people who need to be HIPAA compliant. Your data is safe with us. But if for whatever reason you don't want to hook up an email, um, you don't actually need to. So if you go to this connected accounts area, you'll notice that this has a little green icon saying we're hooked up to you. You can always just leave that red. You can sign up. You can sign up with an alternate email if they want to give you like a .co email address.
Okay.
Uh, you aren't required to connect anything here, but all this stuff will still work. So if I add Shubham, for example, to a sequence, right? Like we were saying before, we go to candidates. We'll see here's Shubham.
Mhm.
We're going to find his email. It'll take like 5-10 seconds. You can also look for his phone number.
Okay.
Right. And then if you wanted to use your own system, so here's his email, here's his phone number. I probably have to blur that out. Don't want to blow up Shubham here. Um, but uh,
He
but
gets 25 job offers tomorrow.
hey, he's pretty impressive. Um, but if you decide like, okay, actually, I need to like export all this data out, we're not like holding your data hostage or anything. You can always just hit export here to CSV.
Okay.
And the flip side is also true, right? If you come to the table with a bunch of data and you're like, okay, you know what? I have my ATS ready to go. It's loaded up with people. You can import people into here. We integrate with over 30 ATSs now, so you can actually have us create profiles automatically for you. With a couple of our ATSs, we actually now built the ability to filter down in the sourcing page based on whether somebody is inside your ATS. So
Oh,
that works for right now. It works for Greenhouse, Ashby, Job Adder, and Crelate. That talent rediscovery section, you just have to add the criteria right here to look for people who are inside of my ATS, and
ah,
it'll actually just filter down to people who are inside. So taking our powerful engine and turning it towards your database.
wow. I might actually be able to search through my database now.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm not gonna reveal who your database is, but I can tell you that almost every one of these databases has a search button that was built in the 2010s, and
No
it's
comment.
not AI powered.
No comment.
Yeah. They're working on it. There may be a point at which this becomes obsolete, but I think that our stuff is pretty cool, and we don't want to hold data hostage, and we don't want to limit you to just having stay inside of our universe. So we're trying to be Switzerland in all
That's
ways.
smart. And my ATS has been getting much better when it comes to that.
Yeah, yeah,
It also, I'll just say like real quick, I have to say this.
yeah.
Crappy data going in, it gets crappy answers back. So half of that's on me.
Yes. Yeah. And that's part of, well, that's also part of what we help you with is like that ATS section actually will create profiles if you have limited information inside of your database. As long as you have a LinkedIn profile URL, we actually back channel through the LinkedIn profile URL that's attached to a candidate. So say you have first name, last name, LinkedIn profile URL, and nothing else inside of your database. We back channel through the LinkedIn profile, and we actually will build you an entire profile for that candidate here.
Huh.
So that actually is a way to kind of like, in a way, basically say like, what's the garbage inside of my database that actually is hiding the hidden gems?
Oh, there we go. Because
Yeah.
we're all sitting on a bunch of gems that are just gotten dirty over the years.
Yeah, yeah. The unfortunate truth is the longer you're in the business, the more you have of that.
Oh, yes. Yes. Somebody asked me about like updating the entire database, and I'm like, that's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, okay, wait. So I did want to touch on some other stuff that you were asking about earlier. So, let's touch on. I want to touch on BD. So,
I get asked
B-
about that, like, like how does Penn do BD? So let's do that. And I'm
yeah.
like, Jake said it's possible, and I trust Jake. So let's see.
Okay. So if you wanted to do BD, it's a pretty similar thing. You just create a job, but this time you're just going to say you're hiring on behalf of yourself, and you say like, show me like HR managers or whatever you want, right? And then here you just have to describe what you're looking for, right? Remember, this is a word parser. It doesn't really change very much.
Okay.
Uh, whether you're looking for potential clients or if you're looking for candidates, we're finding the people that you tell us you want us to find, right? So you just say like, I need them to work in industry, cybersecurity, location, New York, skills, I don't know, SOC 2, right? Something like that. And then you just hit create and you just go. And it's going to find a bunch of people like that. And you can modify the search criteria however you want. You can see that I did not spend any time at all modifying that. So the kind of best way that you can do that is you can basically take a profile of somebody. So say, here, I'll just take the person that you had given me for that last job. So this person, say she's like she's your muse. She's who you want what you want everybody you're reaching out to on behalf of BD to look like. You actually just say, cool, modify my search criteria based on her.
Huh.
And what it'll do is it'll basically fill out this form. Oh, I didn't let it finish going. So let me let it finish. So this is what I asked it for. Right. And you see it took a little bit of liberties in adding stuff.
Yeah.
Now if I add Manabina here, it'll take some of her skills here, or maybe not. Maybe it's not a demo with you on it without me breaking the system, right? But generally what it tries to do is it'll take all the stuff off of her profile here. And
Well, maybe it's because like you're looking for an HR manager, and that's a Google Cloud person.
I think ultimately that's probably what happened, right? But like, say, like, I don't know, like this is the part of her profile that you're interested in. You just copy that. So we'll get out of this. You just put that in here. That would be the other way of doing it. And so this will take this stuff and just parse that out and then put it
Okay.
into her skills and put it in the job titles and stuff like that. And it'll basically paint a map of what you're looking for.
Well, even then, like the HR manager searched the original one that you gave. Like these
Yeah.
are all cybersecurity companies
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
had HR managers. So it's really just you're building out that list too.
Yeah, that's true. I think I am asking your viewers here to like really do a lot of imaginative thinking because I'm like, here's an HR manager and I'm marrying that HR manager skill set with this like Google
Wait, I just Gemini AI specialist.
Yeah, exactly. But I was just trying to paint the picture that like we will just basically take stuff and then populate it into here
Okay.
based on whatever you put, based on whatever you're looking for. But then, you go down here and it's the same exact process of like add to outreach if you like them, decline them if you don't. But there's some wrinkles that I want to show you. So
Okay.
first wrinkle in here, if we go to email preferences, the first thing, you have to make sure you're looking for work emails, right? You don't want to reach out to people for business development with personal emails. You will probably have to rewrite this. This is going to be very candidate focused, the AI messaging.
Okay.
We haven't yet built out BD focused AI messaging, but
Okay.
roadmap happens soon. But yeah, you switch it over to work only. And now say you're like happy with you're happy with the messaging that you have here, this sourcing area, you've done a good job with this. Maybe you open this up to anybody in the US. I limited it to people who are within 10 miles of New York working HR at cybersecurity companies. So I made it a pretty
It's
small.
284 companies.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, but if you get to this and you're like 10,000 people and I want to talk to all of them, you can go to the automation section and say, every day, put 20 of those people from that sourcing area into my outreach, and it'll just go. In the background, you've got BD going.
Ah, genius.
And then if you are going further and you're saying, like, actually, I've done some sleuthing on LinkedIn and I figured out who the hiring managers of the companies that I actually want to talk to are, right? Like, I have an NPC campaign and I have this great candidate, and they said they want to work at these 50 companies. I figured out who the hiring managers are at all 50 of those companies. If you're on their profiles already, like you went to the company, you did your sleuthing on LinkedIn, you figured out that this person's who you want to add, you set the pin icon here,
Okay.
choose to add them to, whatever it is. I don't remember what I called this. It's like HR manager, right?
Just, yeah,
Yeah,
there we
HR
go.
manager, right? Hit add to outreach, and they'll actually bring her into this candidate section in the
Oh,
same way that bringing them from the sourcing page does. And we'll find her email and we'll find her phone number just the same way.
okay. Nice.
So it is really like I'd say that BD, yeah, it's still looking for the email. I'd say that BD is something that you do have to be a little bit more creative with. I wouldn't say that pin is 100% a replacement for it, because you've had so many people on your show basically say, like, yeah, you can do email automation, but nothing replaces hitting the phones. This is a really good supplement to hitting the phones, I'd say.
I mean, like, yeah, we've heard enough of the episodes, or if this is the first time you have even heard of the Elite Recruiter podcast, a lot of the guests talk about the secrets of phone conversation.
Yeah, yeah. And ultimately, like, we don't want to be a replacement for the phone conversation, but we do want to make it such that the top of the funnel is doing some nice stuff for you before you have to go and make 70 dials. Right? If your inbound funnel is now, call it 30 people every week or two, that's what, 50 fewer phone calls, 100 fewer phone calls you have to make over the course of the week, and a lot more conversations that are already warm, that are just easier, happier conversations.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, this is good, Jake. Before I let you go, is there anything else that you want to show everybody else?
Um, as of now, I think this is about it. We can go to the reporting dashboard. We do have some pretty cool reports here. If we go to like all your positions here, you can see how you're doing across, the past 6 months. You can say, I'm sorry, I'm like blowing up your your outreach inside of Fin. But you can see basically the general communication stuff. You can go to your pipeline insights and you can see, how many people you reviewed, how many you've accepted, how many you've actually reached out to. So a lot of these people are kind of sitting in your limbo state, basically waiting for you to launch your sequences. I imagine you were doing a lot of testing with this.
Yeah,
Which is
had them hang around.
why these numbers look like it is. Yeah. Um, and you can even see right here, you can say, like, how many people did I reach out to? How many people did I accept across each one of my positions? And you can, if you have a bunch of team members, you can see, like, who's doing the best by which metric.
Okay.
And so this stuff up top here, right? This stuff, when you get this really going and you show this for like a single job, this is something I would just take a screenshot of. If you're like trying to say to your client, like, your client's like, "What'd you do this week?" You can say, "Well, let me show you." You filter down to 7 days, and then you just take a screenshot and you say, like, "Here, this is what I did. I reviewed 2,000 people. Uh, Only 500 people fit your requirements. I reached out to all of them, and then this is my open rate, my reply rate, and then as you kind of go through it, it'll also show you your interested rate and your booked meeting rate as you start booking meetings through Zoom and stuff like that."
Yeah. I mean, yeah, 116 outreach, 58 emails open. I think it's still pretty good.
Yeah. And these percentages, mind you, are not like, not 58 into 116. This is compared to the previous period. I'm looking at a 6 month period, so compared to the previous period. So
Okay.
yeah, so I wouldn't worry about those percentages looking weird. That just means you haven't been on the system longer than a year.
All good. All good. So what's on the roadmap? What does the future look like with Pin?
Yeah, I mean,
What are you allowed to say?
Well, so the Jake AI thing is something that I'm personally excited about because I get to take some of the stuff that I basically say in my onboarding calls to folks about like this is what good messaging looks like. This is how you kind of appeal to the audience. This is how you build a narrative for why somebody would want to get on the phone with you, right? I basically am going to take some of those rules. I'm feeding them through our AI engine to help make that generative AI language be even better.
Okay.
So I'm really excited about that. Um, Outside of that, we are continuing to build out our integrations network. We want to make sure that we're really Switzerland for everybody. So if you have an ATS that you work with that we don't work with, send us an intro, right? We wanna integrate with as many ATSs as possible, and we want to build that search inside of ATSs functionality for as many ATSs that will let us have that kind of cool two-way sync.
I mean,
And then
that part is amazing. Like I did not know that I can jump into my ATS and start searching.
Yeah. And there's one other thing that I think is pretty cool. So if you go over here and you go to LinkedIn connections, I just remembered this. Um, this is really cool for teams. So you can connect your LinkedIn account, but also you can upload your connections list. And here's a little instruction for how you download your connections from LinkedIn and upload them here. Now, this is cool because it pairs really nicely with our LinkedIn automations, right? If you put an email step, if you're connected to somebody, you don't have to pay for it, right? And we
Yeah.
all know that LinkedIn emails are going from $3 to $21, right? They're getting
Insane.
very expensive, right? And so how do you get around that? You try to build out your connections network and you send emails. Now, what's really cool about this is when you have a team of people, you can basically say, I want to look at this person's network and I want to send an email from this person. And then my second step, I want it to be an email from me. So you can do things like, I know that my CEO has 30,000 connections in this space that I want to reach out to. I'm going to have my CEO upload their connections list, and I'm going to actually send an email from their LinkedIn account. Then my follow up is going to be like, hey, I just spoke to my CEO. They said that you're a really fantastic fit and that I need to talk to you. And that can be the email follow up on top of the email that came directly from the CEO.
When I was an internal recruiter at a large defense contractor, that was my secret play all the time because they wouldn't like respond to a recruiter. So I'd
Yeah.
like pull like a program manager that working like on a block site,
Mm-hmm.
like and like, hey, I just send this message. Like I wrote it for you. I found the person. Just click send.
Yeah.
Instant response. It was like a 90% response rate.
Yeah. Yeah. Because people love talking to the CEOs, right? Like I honestly like I run into that sometimes, right? Where I'm trying to like, I'll try to like create a partnership for an integration or I'm like reaching out to, whoever for partnership stuff. And they're like not paying any money. They're like, oh, you're the customer success guy. And I just go to Steve, he's our CEO. I'm like, hey, can you also email this person? And it's always like, I've been chasing them forever, and then he gets a response in 5 minutes.
It's the way it works out.
It is what it is, right? But we can systematize that approach now.
Nice. So this is perfect for teams.
It's really good for teams. Yeah. And we built out kind of since the last time you looked at it, we built out a lot of scalability things that allow teams to really dig into the stats, to allow managers to manage teams without having to pay for seats, right? We have a new admin section that allows you to basically see the billing page and manage team members without actually having to pay for a seat, which
And then,
I'm sure like lots of
yeah,
people want that, right? And we listen to our customers, right? We built that because our customers are complaining about, their financial decision maker having to pay for a seat when they aren't going to touch the system.
I see it less in agency recruiting in the world that I'm in now, but I saw it so often in internal recruiting where it's just like, you guys have, and using example clearance jobs, they'd have, if there's what I can't really say but it's a good amount of money per seat,
Yeah.
but you only get 500 views per account per month,
Mhm.
and then you have people that like literally use like two times, reviewed like three profiles, and I'm like, you just spent that much money on five of these people to not use it.
Yeah.
But you're telling me that you can't buy this new tool for like XYZ amount of money? Like, come on.
Yeah. And that's something that I've been learning about is like, really it's for a lot of these firms, it's not really the monetary investment so much as it's taking people away from the stuff that they're used to. Right. And that's the thing with PIN is that like It's a new process. You have to learn it, and you have to commit to learning it. And we've been tweaking our onboarding process a lot with that. And really, like, the thing that I've settled on is like, you just need to give me like one person who really wants to go for it. I'll work with that person to build out a process, and we'll help bring along the folks who, like, they're really married to their LinkedIn process, and they'll like kick and scream to get away from LinkedIn Recruiter, right? But if you show them something that's like the process is already built out, here's your 3 buttons that you got to click. We've already written all the email templates. You don't even have to get rid of emails or connection requests, right? Then it makes it really easy to bring on the rest of those folks.
I actually just had that conversation with a friend last week. They were looking at like sourcing platforms and they were asking me questions about it. And I'm like, your team is XYZ amount of people. Why don't you just pay for one and have them go all in?
Yep.
Instead of like buying it for the entire team at the moment.
And then that person starts doing better than everybody else on the team. And everybody else on the team is like, what the heck? Why do they have access to PIN? It's like, well, do you want it? Are you going to commit to it? Great.
If you're not going to use it, I don't want to pay for it.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay for it. Like, yeah, it's I wouldn't pay $300 a month for something that my teammate isn't going to use, but $300 a month to double the amount of placements that you're making, great investment.
Simple math right there. All right, Jake, I just want to say thank you so much.
Yeah,
I know we were talking about doing this for a while, so I'm glad that we sat down and I have learned some new things today. So I'm excited about that.
yeah,
And yeah, if you have any questions, hit me up. I might not be able to answer them, or I might burn through all my credits or something, and I'll have to like hit up Jake. But like, definitely hit up Jake or hit up Connor over at Penn. They can definitely help you with your search or do some more. But on top of that, they're also going to be talking at the AI Recruiting Summit in September, and you'll see more of them throughout the year. Thank you, Jake.
yeah. Thanks, Ben. I just want to have one more shout out. Just I hired my favorite CSM from Interseller, Adrian, and she's really wonderful. And so now you can hit up me and Adrian. And so we have a bigger team now of people who can help you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jake, and thank you for letting us dive into Penn to see the back end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thanks, man.